Greetings, fellow Slayers. Well, so I'm taking another look at another episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer Season 1, and today we're going to be looking at The Puppet Show. A demon watches a ballet dancer, Emily. Cordelia is singing Whitney Houston's Greatest Love of All off-key as part of the tryouts for the Sunnydale talent show. Giles stops her, obviously to stop his ears from hurting. Buffy and Cinderella join Giles, and Malcolm Missy complains that Snyder, the school's new principal, made him in charge of the talent show, despite his wishes, so he could have more contact with the students. As Snyder overhears the Scoobies making fun of Giles, he punishes them by forcing them to participate in the talent show, making it clear that he's far different from Mr. Flutie, and that he's not interested in making friends with the students but making them suffer. The next tryout is Morgan as dummy Sid. Buffy confesses to being freaked out by dummies. Morgan's act takes a sudden turn for the better when Sid suddenly develops a personality and starts making sarcastic comments about the act. Emily notices the demon and screams. The talent show rehearsals continue with Mark, an unsuccessful magician. Buffy, Willow, and Xander debate what to do for the talent show and settle on a dramatic scene, since it does not require any actual talent. Sid watches and makes rude comments as Mark explains the voice is an imitation of his father. Snyder explains to Giles that he will run a safer, more disciplined school, only to be interrupted by the discovery of Emily's body, whose heart has been cut out with a knife. The Scoobies debate whether the killer is a demon or a human, eliciting Willow's comment that a human murderer is scarier since it could be anyone, even her, but it's not her. The Scoobies split up and begin interviewing people from the talent show to find the killer. All of their interviews point in the direction of Morgan and his dummy, Sid. They decide to check Morgan's locker after school hours. As Buffy is breaking into Morgan's locker and finds nothing, Snyder finds her almost red-handed and admonishes her for being in the school after hours. Morgan and Sid turn out to be hiding, watching Buffy. Sid tells Morgan that Buffy is the one, seeing that her strength is evidence of it. As Buffy goes to sleep, Sid waits until the lights are off and sneaks into her room. When she wakes up, he quickly scampers out. Naturally, Buffy has a hard time convincing the Scoobies that Sid broke into her room. Giles, on his part, suggests that the demon responsible might be needing the heart and later a brain to keep a human guise, which means the demon could be anyone, once again. When a teacher confiscates Sid, Xander steals him so that Buffy can talk to Morgan alone. As Buffy searches for Morgan backstage, Snyder is again displeased with her being where he does not think she belongs. In the library, just as Will finds references to another possible explanation, animated dummies might harvest organs to become humans. Sid is gone when Xander stops paying any attention to him. Buffy finds Morgan's body, missing a brain, just as the chandelier falls on her. When she wakes up, Sid attacks her, and during their fight, they realize they're both working for the same goal, to stop the demon. Sid explains he's a demon hunter, cursed to dummy form until he kills the last of the Brotherhood of Seven, those demons which harvest a heart and a brain. He's killed 6 and there's only 1 left. However, as his body is long gone, Sid will die when the curse breaks, something he accepts. Realizing the demon has what it needs, they theorize it will be moving on, and so it will be whoever is missing from the show. Sid suggests to Giles to form a power circle to find who is missing, but Giles sees everyone there. When Sid is again missing, Buffy finds Morgan's brain when she looks for him. Buffy, Will, and Xander discover Morgan had brain cancer, which is probably the reason the demon did not use his brain and is now looking for someone smart. This means that Giles and Willow are in danger. Bum bum bum. At the talent show, Mark the Magician tricks Giles into dropping himself into a guillotine, obsessively a magic prop, so that he could take his scalp off and get his brain as he is actually the demon. Just in time, Buffy and the others realize what is happening and rush to his rescue. As Buffy and Sid battle Mark, who takes on his demon form, Xander keeps Giles from getting his scalp cut off while Willow frees him with an axe. Finally, Buffy and Xander manage to decapitate Mark with a guillotine, defeating him. Sid reveals that to kill Mark he has to be stabbed in the heart, and Jill rejects Buffy's offer to do it and kills Mark himself. With Mark dead, Sid's curse finally breaks, and he dies just as the curtain opens. Everyone assumes it's part of the show, though there is only minimal clapping. Buffy, Xander, Buffy, Xander, Willow then perform a scene from Oedipus Rex with a remarkable lack of talent. After Xander forgets his line, Willow runs away from the stage. Yeesh. So now let's look at some continuity surrounding this episode. Principal Snyder now heads Sunnydale High. Principal Snyder claims that Principal Fluty's woolly-headed liberal thinking led to him getting eaten, in reference to his death by possessed students by Hannus in the episode The Pack. Despite Snyder's more disciplined approach to education, he eventually gets eaten as well. This episode reveals some fears of the Scooby Gang, which will be featured in the next episode, Nightmares. Buffy is afraid of dummies, Xander is frightened by a mime with clown makeup, and Willow is afraid to introduce herself in front of an audience. The idea of a demon hunter being turned into a live puppet is later repeated in Season 5's Angel episode, Smile Time. Excuse me. The pen that Willow uses in history class, which Morgan gets Sid taken away from him, is the same pen that Buffy drops when she needs to steal hair from Amy in Witch. Principal Snyder claims that Sunnydale High has a reputation for suicide, missing persons, spontaneous cheerleader combustion, referencing the events of Witch and I, Robot, You, Jane. The book with the picture of the Brotherhood of the Seven demon will reappear and Killed by Death, where it also contains an entry about their Kindestud. Sorry if I butchered that pronunciation. In the non-canon video game Chaos Bleeds, it is revealed that Sid did not go on to his final rest after his curse broke, but was instead trapped in a duplicate dummy body in the first Evil's dimension. Interesting. And now let's take a look at the production of this episode. Numerous ad-libs are included in the final cut. Such unscripted bits are when Willow runs off the stage terrified and when Xander cries, "Red Rum! Red Rum!" Nice Shining reference there. This is the 4th episode of the series without any vampires, which, The Pack, and I, Robot, You, Jane are the first 3. In this episode, the ending credits roll alongside Buffy, Willow, and Xander's play. This is the first time in the Buffyverse that a scene is played as the credits roll, a format used again only in the Angel episode Judgment. This is also the first time in the show that the ending credits are not in Slayer font. Interesting. And now let's take a look at some pop culture references. The song that Cordelia sings, which she describes as being about dignity and human feelings and personal hygiene or something, is The Greatest Love of All, popularized by Whitney Houston. Personal hygiene may be a reference to the line, "Show them all the beauty they possess inside." Xander asks, does anyone feel like they've been Kaiser Soze? Referencing the film The Usual Suspects. While goofing around with Sid, Xander references Shining by shouting, "Red Rum! Red Rum!" Buffy, Willow, and Xander perform a scene from the play Oedipus Rex. Xander plays Oedipus, Buffy plays Jocasta, and Willow plays the priest of Zeus. And now onto some goofs. When Buffy's breaking into Morgan's locker, she says, 2 to the left, 3 to the right, but she actually turns the dial first to the right, then to the left. When Xander's trying to remember his lines in the talent show scene, Nicholas Brennan briefly breaks character when he tries not to laugh. A few crew members come here laughing when Willow runs off stage. While Buffy is searching around the background stage area, there is a mirror in the background of the shot. For a brief second, you can see the reflection of a crew member. As Giles is announcing 5 minutes until the power circle, the violin player behind him is very obviously playing the violin bow 2 inches from the strings. Buffy gets pinned by a falling chandelier and is unable to budge it, though her strength should be more than enough to shove it off of her. Now finally, on to some other notes surrounding this episode. Sarah Michelle Gellar admitted having nightmares about puppets after filming this episode. Yeah, you know what? I can't say I blame her. So, yeah. So overall, I think this is a pretty unique episode, and the whole thing about someone being cursed to being a dummy or whatever is actually kind of unique, and I kind of like it. So overall, I give The Puppet Show 4 vampire steaks out of 5. Well, anyway, tune in next time as we take a look at Nightmares. So, until then, see you, everybody.